Welcome to Buffzone. My name is Kyle Ringo. This is Neil Welk. We cover the University of Colorado football team for the Daily Camera newspaper. Neil, it's almost April, which means spring football is here, and the older I get, the quicker time flies, man. It seems like the season just ended a few weeks ago, but 4 months have already gone by, and football's back.
Spring football, it's the second sport around here anymore. At a lot of colleges, there's college football in the fall, and then there's spring football. Nothing else matters.
So it looks like this year there's going to be three primary areas of emphasis or big question marks entering spring. I mean, I think any coach will tell you that they really pay attention to every single position and that every position is wide open. There's competition there. And, they would never separate it out the way we're going to. But I think if you look at this Colorado football team, the three areas where there are really key position battles will be quarterback, obviously, with Tyler Hansen, Cody Hawkins, Matt Ballinger going at it. Then they got to find a replacement for Daniel Sanders at center. Sanders, has played a lot of football here on the offensive line the past 4 years. 2-year starter. Really, they got four guys going into camp who will compete at the center position, but none of the four have any significant playing experience at the college level at center. And then defensive line, where they're very young.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of places. I mean, I think the places you just mentioned obviously are question marks, but I think the other places to look at is who's going to emerge as that running back. Who's going to be the guy that's going to, be, and I know Hawk will tell you, oh, we don't need a number one guy. We don't, we can spread the wealth, but I think for this team, it would be great to have a number one running back, whether it's Rodney Stewart, whether it's Darrell Scott, whether it's Kevin Lockridge, whether it's Demetrius Sumler. Have one guy that's going to be the guy as they go into the fall camp. Wide receiver is another spot. I mean, who are going to be the guys that are going to step up and stretch the field a little bit and open up that running game by keeping the defense honest. So I think there are a lot of great things to look forward to in spring ball. This to me is going to be one of the better spring camps in a while, just because I think there's a lot of reason to be optimistic and there's a lot of good players to focus on, rather than just saying, oh boy, I hope they find somebody to play this position. They've got the guys to play the position. Now they just have to sort it out.
So quarterback always gets a ton of attention, and part of that is our fault. I mean, we're covering the team, we're the media, and we're the guys who put all that attention on quarterback. But that's really the leader of the team and the focal point.
That's the focal point, exactly.
And you got three guys who are going to be competing for this job. A lot of people assume that Cody Hawkins, enters spring with a lead, and that Tyler and Matt have to kind of catch up or prove that they're a better player. How do you see that whole position shaking up?
I think Cody Hawkins enters the spring with a little bit of a lead. He's the incumbent starter, and anytime you're the incumbent, I think you have an edge. I also think that the coaches are going to, give these guys every shot possible in winning the starting position. What people don't understand is the coaches want to win more than anything else. Doesn't matter the kid's name on the back of the jersey, they really want to win. Whatever kid gives them the chance to win the most possible games beginning next September, I think is going to be the starting quarterback. I don't think any of those three should be eliminated. I think if any one of those three has a great spring, they could enter fall camp as the leader in the clubhouse and be the guy that is the starter against CSU in early September.
Yeah, I agree. I really feel like this is going to be the year that Cody Hawkins gets tested far and away more than he has in the past. I mean, Tyler Hansen got some significant playing time last year, has something to build on, has the game speed down. He's not going to be blown away by these things. And Matt Ballinger, third year in the program, and I think that Matt is starting to see what he has to do and the level he has to play at and the level he has to study at and all those types of things to really match Cody's intensity. And Matt has worked on becoming a better leader and those sorts of things. So I really think that this is going to be a feisty battle.
The thing I've gotten from Matt Ballinger is it seems to be that there's a sense of urgency with Matt that has never been there before, and
Right.
maybe I'm wrong, but just from seeing what he's doing and hearing what the coaches have to say, there's a sense of urgency there that now is the time. If he doesn't get it done this year, then he's going to fall by the wayside, and I think he realizes that with Clark Evans coming in and some other kids that they're looking at, that this is the time for him to seize the opportunity, and he has the physical tools. It's been a mental thing for Matt Ballinger, and so I think this is a big opportunity for Matt, a big spring, and I really see him, taking the bull by the horns and giving it a heck of a shot.
Another thing that is interesting about this spring is last year in spring ball, basically every offensive play was run out of the shotgun formation. They were making the switch to the no huddle sort of up-tempo offense. And this year, from what we've been told, they're going to kind of put that on the back burner a little bit, although they'll still incorporate some of it. They'll still be able to do that when they need to, but really what they're going to try and get back to is sort of the downhill running game. And I think that if they can get that going, the strength of this team on offense is clearly the offensive line, the running backs, and the tight ends that they have. I mean, that's where they have a lot of experience, and that's where they have the most depth in those positions. If they can get a downhill running game going this year, then that'll be beneficial to whoever does win the quarterback job.
God, I hate it when I agree with you. This is scary already. But I agree with you 100%. I love the news that they're talking about wanting to run the ball again. I still love to see a team be able to line up and run the football, run downhill. Denver Johnson, the new O-line coach, has talked about that. When you have a guy like Darryl Scott, when you have Rodney Stewart, when you have that stable of running backs, all of whom have potential to be good running backs, I love the fact that they want to line it up and run it. I know the spread formation is the great thing in college football. A lot of teams are running it. They're throwing it all over the field. But I think with this team right now, and you don't have a ton of great wide receivers, line up, control the clock, run the football. You've got an offensive line that should be able to knock some people over. I mean, Nate Solder, Ryan Miller, other guys up front, they should be able to knock some people down and, line it up and run it. Give Darryl Scott the ball 20 times a game, give Rodney Stewart the ball 20 times. Find a running back that you can do that with, establish some momentum and some control, and run it. I mean, I'd love to see Colorado return to being a solid running football team.
Yeah, what's really interesting to me about this spring is the defensive line situation. Last year, on most plays, if you looked at the Colorado defense, there were 4 guys out there who are not going to be out there in spring ball. You're talking about missing Brad Jones, who was an outside linebacker but played a lot of rush end, Brandon Nicholas, George Hippolyte, and Maurice Lucas. They're all gone, and they all have to be replaced, and there's a lot of young, inexperienced guys who are going to be trying to replace them. I think that offensive line, that running game might get a lot of confidence going against these young guys this spring.
Oh yeah, that's when that's who they're practicing against. I mean, they could become a dominant offensive line, especially playing against a defensive line that's still trying to feel its way around. And that defensive line is going to be a huge question mark. But I do think with the great linebackers that Colorado has, I think that can negate a little bit of that defensive line if they have a good defensive scheme where you can provide some a pass rush with some of your linebackers, maybe bringing some corners off the edge. So I think the defensive line, if they have a little bit of development, they could still be okay there.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, just given the nature of the roster right now, with the inexperience on the defensive line, a great wealth of talent at linebacker. If you see Colorado experiment a little bit this year, this spring, and even going into fall camp with the idea of using more linebackers, getting some more speed on the field, and maybe going with a 3-down lineman, 4 linebacker look, or something along those lines, and it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out.
With the morphing of the Big 12 into a passing conference, that makes a lot of sense, Kyle. When you have a lot of great linebackers, if you're not trying to stop somebody that's running the ball 35, 40 times a game in the Big 12 anymore. It's just not a power running conference. So if you have three decent defensive linemen and you can bring one of those linebackers like they did with Brad Jones as a rush in type of thing, then you can tweak your defense to still be a good defense in the Big 12. Something you couldn't have gotten away with 15 or 20 years ago when the conference was laden with power running teams.
Right. Last thing here. They got to get through the spring injury-free or relatively injury-free.
They've already gotten bit once.
Right, and after the fall that they had last year, they got to get through spring relatively injury-free, don't you think?
Yeah, they've already had one bad injury with Max Tuioti-Mariner, another knee injury. But yeah, they need to get through this spring. They need to get through it healthy. That would be a huge boost for them. And I think there's almost, when you start feeling snake bit, there's a little bit of a confidence factor there. And right. I think they'd like to get through and feel good about that, aspect of the program by the end of spring.
All right, so we'll be out there every day. We'll have a lot of video reports. We'll have stories on Buffzone, blogs. Me and Neil will both be out there, Ryan Thorburn. So we got you covered, and check back often, and we'll be back after the spring game.